When you imagine your first moment in heaven, who or what do you long to see most? Share your reflection below. Your words may inspire someone else's journey. Have you ever paused long enough to feel the longing? That quiet ache inside, the whisper that says, this world, no matter how beautiful, isn't quite home. You see, buried beneath our distractions, beneath every pursuit and possession, is a silent memory. A memory not of this life, but of Eden. Not the Eden of myth or metaphor, but the garden we were born to walk in and destined to return to. The scriptures do not leave us wondering. They speak of a place, a real place, where lions lie with lambs, where peace is not a dream, but the very air you breathe. Isaiah 11:6 draws back the veil. The wolf will live with the lamb, the leopard will lie down with the goat, and the lion will eat straw like the ox. This is not poetry, it's prophecy. A world restored, creation unbound, fear forgotten. You will walk again in a garden, but not the one Adam lost. This one has been redeemed, bought by blood, prepared by the hands that were once pierced for your sake. Imagine stepping into that world. You stretch out your hand and rest it gently on the mane of a lion, and feel not fear, not fear, but familiarity. A cheetah races beside you, not to hunt, but to play. A bear lays its head upon your lap as a child might do, and you stroke its fur as if it were a friend long lost. There, you will not ask, is this real? You will ask, why did I ever doubt it was? The curse will be gone, not suppressed, removed, not managed, undone. Even the earth will breathe easier under your feet. Psalm 19:1 whispers this truth even now. The heavens declare the glory of God. The skies proclaim the work of his hands. If creation today still sings with such broken beauty, what song will it sing when healed? You will run, not from anything, but toward wonder. You will rest, not from exhaustion, but from the overflow of contentment. You will discover, not because something is hidden, but because eternity unfolds endlessly. And you will not be alone. Every leaf, every creature, every river will welcome you back. They have been waiting. Creation itself has been groaning, not in fear, but in hope of your return. Romans 8:21 says, the creation itself will be liberated from its bondage to decay and brought into the freedom and glory of the children of God. That freedom is coming, and it is not abstract. It has form. It has scent. It has sound. It has joy. But more than all of that, it has you. Because heaven is not just a destination for souls. It is a home for sons and daughters. And the garden is not lost. It has only been guarded. Until the day the gates open again. And one day soon, they will. So now let me ask you gently, what animal would you walk beside in this garden? What creature once feared would become your companion? Write it below, not as a fantasy, but as a declaration of hope. Because the first thing you will do in heaven is not float in the clouds. It is walk upon holy ground and hear the voice of creation say, welcome back, we remember you. There is a question that many carry, though few dare to voice it. Will I ever see them again? The ones who left too soon. The ones whose absence still echoes in quiet rooms. The ones we remember, but cannot touch. Heaven answers not with silence, but with a promise. Jesus himself said in Matthew 8:11, many will come from the east and the west, and will take their places at the feast with Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, in the kingdom of heaven. Pause. Can you hear it? Not a formal gathering, a feast. This is not a cold reunion of ghosts. This is a celebration of the redeemed. A table eternal and radiant, where names you've longed to say again will be spoken out loud. There will be laughter, real laughter. Not the polite kind, but the kind that wells up from memory healed and hearts made whole. And at that table, you will not be a stranger. You will be home. Can you imagine it? You reach out and finally embrace the one you lost. No tears. No fear that time will steal them again. No more looking back. Only forward. Only forever. The child who left this world before learning to speak, they will call your name. The parent who died too tired to say goodbye, they will smile with strength in their bones. The friend who followed Christ into the dark, you will walk side by side again, this time into everlasting light. And then the stories, not just yours, but theirs. Have you ever wanted to ask Moses what it felt like to face the sea and feel it retreat beneath his steps? Or sit beside David as he recalls the day he stood before the giant, not in confidence, but in obedience? Imagine hearing Esther describe what it meant to whisper, If I perish, I perish. But no, in heaven, no one perishes anymore. And Abraham, the man who left everything to follow a voice, what would it be like to hear that voice again together? These are not myths in heaven. They are brothers and sisters. And the space between your world and theirs will vanish like morning fog. Revelation 7:9 tells us, a great multitude that no one could count, from every nation, tribe, people, and language, standing before the throne and before the Lamb. Do you feel the weight of that? Every wall this world built, every division, every border, every language that confused, gone. There will be no room for racism, no room for pride, no room for the categories this world uses to divide the image of God. Only one family, only one table, only one king, and you will not need to perform. You won't have to prove that you belong. Your presence alone will be the evidence that grace never fails. Isaiah 25:6-8 says, on this mountain the Lord Almighty will prepare a feast of rich food for all peoples. He will swallow up death forever. The sovereign Lord will wipe away the tears from all faces. Not just comfort, restoration. Every goodbye you've ever spoken will be reversed into reunion. And no moment of pain, no separation will have the final word. Because in heaven, God does not merely bring people back. He brings time back. He stretches eternity around every lost second until nothing is missing. Nothing is wasted. Nothing is lost. So let me ask you, with reverence and honesty, when you walk into heaven, who is the first person you long to see? Will it be the child you never held long enough? The friend whose hand slipped away too soon? Or a hero of the faith whose story once carried you through the night? Write their name below. Let your hope speak louder than your grief. Because one day, that embrace will happen. And when it does, you'll realize this is the love that time could never kill. There's a yearning deep within us to belong, not just to exist, but to dwell, to have a place that is ours, not because we built it, but because someone who loves us prepared it long before we arrived. Jesus knew this longing. He spoke directly to it when he said in John 14:2, in my Father's house are many mansions. I go to prepare a place for you. He didn't say, I might build something if you're good enough. He said, I go. The work has already begun. Right now, this very moment, the hands that once stretched wide upon the cross are building your forever home. Not a symbol, not a metaphor. A dwelling place, real, tangible, eternal. And when you see it, you won't feel like a guest. You'll feel like someone who was always expected. Imagine this. You walk through a gate not made of wood or metal, but of living light. The door opens without effort, not because you pushed, but because your name is known on the other side. And when you step in, there's a stillness, not empty, but full, with peace, with presence, with the warmth of everything you have ever longed for but couldn't name. Each room whispers something true about who you are, not who the world told you to be, not who pain tried to shape you into, but who the Father always saw when he dreamed you into being. There are windows that open to rivers of glass, walls that glow with the memory of joy, gardens filled with light and fragrance, where colors shift not by season, but by the song of your soul. Isaiah 65:21 tells us, they will build houses and dwell in them, and they will enjoy the work of their hands. Yes, you will create, you will plant, you will design, not out of exhaustion, but out of joy. In heaven, creativity is no longer survival. It is worship. Your imagination will not be limited by time or fear. There will be no pressure, no deadlines, no need to impress. You'll build because it brings you joy. You'll shape gardens that bloom with glory. You'll craft spaces that reflect not your ego, but your restoration. And every home in heaven will be a mirror, not of your wealth, but of the love God has for you. Some will have tree houses where children never stop laughing. Some will have peaceful lakes that reflect the stars. Some will have balconies where music floats through the air like wind. But all of them will carry the scent of grace. And here's what's even more astonishing. There is no decay, no rust, no maintenance. The walls don't age. The foundations never crack. Because the one who builds forever. In Revelation 21, we are shown something more. A city, the New Jerusalem. A place where your country home meets God's holy throne. Streets paved with gold, gates carved from pearl, foundations jeweled with sapphire, emerald, and amethyst. And you, not just allowed to visit, but welcome to dwell. Heaven is not a place where you float, homeless in eternity. It is a home with your name engraved on the door. And when Jesus hands you the key, you'll know he remembered everything, not just your pain, but your dreams. So let me ask you quietly, what would your heavenly home look like? Would it overlook mountains? Would there be a stream that hums when you pray? A room full of books that write themselves as you remember your story? Share your vision below, not as a fantasy, but as a prophecy of the joy to come. Because one day soon, the door will open. And when you walk in, you'll realize this isn't the end. This is where you were always meant to begin. There are some sufferings we never speak of, not because they aren't real, but because they've lingered so long, they've become part of our breathing, part of our waking, part of our very bones, a limp we've learned to live with, a diagnosis we try not to name out loud, a body that feels more like a burden than a home. But the Word of God does not ignore these sorrows. It speaks directly into them, and then it heals them. Isaiah 35:5-6 gives us this vision of what awaits. Then will the eyes of the blind be opened, and the ears of the deaf unstopped. Then will the lame leap like a deer, and the mute tongue shout for joy. This is not metaphor. This is not spiritual allegory. This is resurrection reality. One day your pain will have a last breath. Your disease will meet its final hour. Your weakness will collapse, not in defeat, but in surrender to divine glory. Can you imagine it? The blind, opening their eyes and seeing color for the first time. Not just physical shades, but the radiance of heaven itself. The deaf, hearing a voice they've never heard before. Not your voice, but his. And the lame, not walking, but leaping, free, whole, alive. Every body, every nerve, every muscle, every cell, made new. And you will look in the mirror and see not what time has done to you, but what eternity has restored. Philippians 3:21 promises us this breathtaking truth. He will transform our lowly bodies so that they will be like his glorious body, not a version of you that's acceptable, a version of you that is glorious and familiar and whole. The hands that trembled will be steady. The legs that failed will run. The spine that curved in pain will stand tall in praise. And it will never wear down again. Think of it. You will never feel tired, never short of breath, never ache with grief, never need healing again. There will be no hospitals in heaven, no wheelchairs, no prosthetics, no medicine cabinets filled with prescriptions, only strength, only radiance, only life. Isaiah 40:31 says, "Those who hope in the Lord will renew their strength. They will soar on wings like eagles. They will run and not grow weary. They will walk and not be faint." You will soar, not just physically, but in identity, in freedom, in resurrection power. But perhaps what matters most isn't what will be restored, but how. Because these new bodies will not be the result of science or surgery. They will be gifts from the same hands that bore scars, so yours could be erased. The risen Jesus is the model, and his body, once broken, once bloodied, was raised in incorruptible glory. So will yours. And those you loved who suffered, they will not be remembered by their pain. They will be recognized by their joy. So let me ask you, what pain have you lived with for so long? You've nearly accepted it as permanent? What physical burden has quietly shaped your story? Speak it below. Let it be seen. So that one day when it's gone, you'll remember what healing really means. Because in the kingdom of heaven, your story doesn't end with scars. It ends with light. You will dance again. You will lift your arms in worship without weariness. You will run and run and run, and not once ask, how much longer can I go? Because the answer will be forever. There is a tree, older than time, planted before pain, guarded after the fall, and destined to bloom again at the center of eternity. Its name, the tree of life. We first encountered it in Eden, that sacred garden where humanity walked with God until sin severed the connection. Genesis 3:24 says the entrance to that garden was sealed. Why? Because if man ate from that tree while corrupted, he would live forever in separation. And so God did what felt like judgment, but was actually mercy. But now, in the age to come, that tree returns. And this time, we are invited to eat. Revelation 2:7 records the words of Jesus himself. To the one who overcomes, I will give the right to eat from the tree of life, which is in the paradise of God. Did you hear that? Not just to see it, not just to walk beneath it, but to eat from it freely, forever. And what is this fruit? It is life. Not just continuation of breath, but restoration of being. Revelation 22:2 unveils its wonder. On each side of the river stood the tree of life, bearing 12 crops of fruit, yielding its fruit every month. And the leaves of the tree are for the healing of the nations. 12 kinds of fruit, 12 eternal expressions of divine joy, one for each month, though time as we know it will have no dominion. Each bite, a revelation, a communion with the Creator, a sweetness not made by soil and sun, but by the Spirit of God. And the leaves, they are not decoration. They are healing, not for individuals only, but for nations. Imagine that. Tribes once at war, tongues once divided, cultures once broken by hatred, now healed, not by politics, not by compromise, but by a tree rooted in eternity, watered by the river of life, and bearing fruit no hand of man could ever grow. Do you hunger for such fruit? Have you ever longed for something this world could never serve? A meal that satisfies not only your stomach, but your soul? In heaven you will taste such things. And with every bite, you will remember who your God is. He is not distant. He is not cold. He feeds his children with joy, and it will not be a solitary meal. You'll sit beneath wide, holy branches with those you've loved and those you've never met. Apostles, prophets, saints, children. You'll all eat together, not just to live, but to celebrate that you've been made whole. And perhaps most beautiful of all, the fruit will never run out. The flavor will never fade. And your hunger? It will never return as lack, only as anticipation. What does eternity taste like? Peace, glory, worship, love, but most of all, belonging. So let me ask you gently, if you could reach up and pluck one fruit from the tree of life, what would you hope it tastes like? Not just its flavor, but the memory it would heal, the sorrow it would undo, write it below. Not just as curiosity, but as prayer. Because one day, your hands will hold it, and the first bite will taste like the garden you never knew you missed, but always longed to return to. And you'll hear a voice, familiar and strong, say, "Welcome to the feast. You were always meant for this. Everything we've seen, the garden without fear, the home prepared by divine hands, the reunions we thought were lost forever, the healing of our broken bodies, the taste of life itself from the tree of God, all of it, beautiful as it is, was never the reward. It was the road leading to him, because heaven is not heaven unless he is there." Revelation 21:3 unveils this holy mystery. "Behold, the dwelling place of God is with man, and he will dwell with them. They will be his people, and God himself will be with them and be their God." Let those words echo through your spirit. God himself will be with them. Not just a presence that passes, not just a voice in the dark, not a dream, not a symbol. Him, Jesus, the one who carried a cross on bleeding shoulders, the one who spoke your name long before you ever spoke his, the one who stayed when everyone else walked away. You will see him, not like a photograph, not through stained glass, face to face. His eyes will meet yours, and in that single moment, every wound, every ache, every unanswered question will dissolve in glory. What will you say when you see him? Will words come at all? Or will you simply fall at his feet and weep, not from sorrow, but from release, because the story is finally over, and he was the author all along? Revelation 22:4 says, "They will see his face, and his name will be on their foreheads." That means you won't just recognize him. You'll belong to him, not as a visitor to his throne, but as a child welcomed home. He will walk with you again, as he did with Adam in Eden. But this time there is no serpent, no shame, no hiding behind fig leaves, only glory, only light, only love. And there will be worship, but not the kind bound by form or language, not forced, not scheduled. Worship that erupts like rivers from the soul. Worship that joins with millions, billions, from every tribe, every tongue, every age of history. Isaiah 66:23 tells us, "From one new moon to another, and from one Sabbath to another, all flesh will come to worship before me, says the Lord." A great multitude, not in rows, but in unity. No division, no denomination, no doctrine to debate. Only eyes lifted toward the throne. Only hearts overwhelmed by holiness. You will sing, not because you practiced, but because you're free. You will kneel, not out of fear, but out of awe. And in the center of that glory, the Lamb, still bearing the scars, still wearing the marks of your redemption, but now crowned. And you will know every tear you cried, he kept. Every prayer you whispered, He heard. Every moment you felt alone, he was already building a place beside him, just for you. And when he speaks, it won't be judgment. It will be invitation. Well done, good and faithful servant. Enter into the joy of your master. So now, let me ask you, from the deepest place within you, do you long to see his face? Not just to escape this world, not just to reach heaven, but to be near him? Say it aloud. Write it below. Let the cry of your soul be known. I want to see Jesus. Because in the end, the true reward is not what heaven gives, but who heaven holds. And his name is Jesus.